Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to the Relationship Cheatcode, where we give you the game, helping you to stress less and experience your absolute best in your relationship. This right here is my delectable, incredible, sensational, wonderful wife, Fiona.
And this right here is my dapper, debonair, very enthusiastic husband, Ayize.
I'm enthusiastic because we're here. All right? we are here.
We was just sitting here getting ready and talking, and
I was
then
able to switch it up.
he turned on. He was like, I was like, okay.
We're here. We about to get into it. And we about to get into it around a topic that I'm sure that y'all have gotten into it around before in your relationship. And so one of the things, actually, before we hop into it, how you doing?
I'm doing all right.
You doing all right?
Mm-hmm.
You was kind of going back and forth with me a little bit earlier, but you doing all right now? You was a little bit short with me a little bit earlier.
You were short with me too, buddy.
Yeah, we were short with each other.
Mm-hmm.
But I've shifted. Have you?
Yeah, I'm good.
You good?
Mm-hmm.
Why you say it like that?
I mean, I'm good.
Are you present
in this space?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am present. Mm-hmm. I'm tired.
You tired?
That's what I say all the time.
Same old saying.
So my energy is low.
Yeah.
I need to go back to the doctor to see if I
get you some vitamin D.
My iron deficiency is not resolved, or what the hell it was, or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. We get you some vitamin D, babe.
What? Yeah. Why you want? I can tell you don't know how to say nothing with a straight face. I don't even know how you acted. I was about to say you would never be a good actor, but this man got a hold. Do y'all know he has a whole movie on Netflix? If you did not know,
a series.
That's what's it called? A limited series?
Yeah, it's a limited time series on Netflix.
Not limited time, limited series
on Netflix.
Yeah.
It's called Social Proof. Is it called Social Proof? No, it's called...
I don't remember. Is that what it's called? We should know the name of the daggone thing.
But I'm on Netflix, y'all. I'm on Netflix.
Him and our oldest son.
Yeah, we actually had
they were in...
an episode. We were in an episode.
Oh, that's right. It was multiple episodes, so it was a limited series.
Yeah.
And it was during the pandemic. And Ayize and Asante acted together, our oldest son, who's a Bonafide actor.
So I'm not a Bonafide actor? Let us know in the comments whether or not you saw it. And if
my baby did good. Let me be clear. He did good.
Let me know how I did.
We need to put a link. Put a link at the bottom of this video.
Yeah.
Can you put a link to the movie?
I think so.
Or just look up, what's it called? What was we talking about in during the pandemic times? It was that term. I'm about to look it up. Yeah. Y'all will know in a minute. It's real bad that Ayize don't know the name of his.
I know, right?
His thing though. Not me, you.
but check this out, y'all. So one of the things, so if you don't know, my wife and I were both trained therapists, relationship coaches. We've been doing this work now for a good amount of time, helping individuals and couples improve the quality of their relationship. And so in doing this work over the course of the past 14 years together, what we've seen is that time after time, people be bumping into each other.
Lord,
most of the time you don't get into a relationship because you want to beef. You want to be bucking or bumping into each other all the time. But you get into a relationship because initially you want to experience even more bliss.
That's what came up.
Social distance. Yes. Yes. Google social distance on Netflix. And you'll see.
Google it on Netflix.
I'm saying Google it. It's on Netflix. And you'll see.
So you caught the acting bug.
Asante Black's dad caught the acting bug after starring in Social Distance. Yes. But yeah, check that out, y'all. And so I'm lifting this up that again, we end up bumping into each other. And a lot of times it's not that our intentions are to hurt our partner, to overtalk our partner, to overstep our partner. But again, we, based off of our own inclinations and proclivities and the way that we've grown up, we just move in particular ways. And so you'll find yourself bumping into your partner during the course of the relationship when really all both of y'all want is bliss. Like, I don't want to beef with you, boo. Like, I want a peaceful experience. I don't want stress. I want to stress less. I want more love.
Yeah.
And
more connection.
I want more connection.
More touching.
I want more attention. I want more
cuddling.
More cuddling. All of that. And so I want more of that. But again, we find ourselves bumping into each other, which leads to once we bump, we then move apart. So you bump, move apart, and you keep on bumping and moving apart, which eventually leads you to a place where there's unfortunately, some extreme distance in the relationship. And so on today's podcast, y'all, we're going to talk about some of the subtle ways in which we bump into each other, rub up against each other, that lead to disconnect and tension in the relationship. And unfortunately, what I've noticed is that a lot of times this type of tension, because it may feel like microaggressions are taking place, they go unspoken about. And people don't even lift them up. And so
this type of tension, what is this type of tension you're talking about?
The type of quiet, secret, underhanded, just
underhanded,
not even underhanded, but just like bumping into each other, and because of personalities and ways of
just
being.
That day-to-day stuff.
The day-to-day stuff, the day-to-day stuff, and again, if you don't address it over time, what ends up happening is that it just creates a wedge in a relationship, and you can actually start to build up some level of resentment because. But you feeling resentment because you ain't speaking up. And so let's go ahead and get into it, in terms of this whole piece of bumping into each other. I know recently we bumped into each other.
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
When?
In a good way.
Which
and
time?
In a not so good way.
Which time? Today?
Yeah.
Yesterday?
Nah. I mean, we do this work. And one of the things that I know is that whether it be during the course of a 5-day challenge or even during the course of us doing sessions, my wife, she has a particular way in which she flows. I have a particular way in which I flow. So we're both trained therapists. And we can each individually hold our own and do sessions the way that we do them. And we have a particular direction and flow in our mind in terms of which way we want things to go.
Sessions.
But sometimes, y'all, my wife, she be stepping on my toes and bumping into me, which leads me to a place where I got to make a decision in a moment about what I'm going to do, how I'm going to show up, how I'm going to engage, whether I will engage or not engage. And sometimes that can lead to tension. So we recently had a situation where I felt like my wife was over talking me. And
you feel like I was over talking you, or I was talking and I wasn't over talking you? Be very specific.
We had a situation recently in which I felt like my wife was over talking me. And
really?
And, my voice was not heard. Room was not made.
Wow.
And as a result, I made a decision to abort mission, and which led to some increased tension in the relationship. And
what does that mean, to abort mission? I mean, you on the spaceship and whatnot.
We were doing some type of meeting, and I felt like my wife again was talking too much and sometimes over talking and dominating the situation. And as a result,
we should not use this as an example, because if we can't be fully transparent about what it actually was, it was not a meeting, and it was not that we were both talking, and it's a very particular like kind of thing. You said when we talked about it afterwards that you feel like I wasn't making room and space for you to step forward, which is different, and to be able to speak, which is different than you're talking and I'm over talking you. That's different.
So if I say 3 words and you say 3 words, but then you roll your 3 words into 10 words, then I feel like that's over talking me.
But it's not.
Why not?
Let's get into it.
It is over talking me.
It isn't, because in the context of what we were doing, we weren't talking to one another. We were talking to other people. Are we going to tell it?
No, we
can't. So yeah, I know, because it wouldn't look good, would it?
Oh, what you mean it wouldn't look good?
It wouldn't look good on your part.
Really?
That's what I think. I think it was very unprofessional.
Really?
Bruh, you are not out here surprised. Yes, really. No one will know when that happened or who it happened with, so we can tell it. But if you don't want to, we won't have to.
Nah, we ain't got to get into the specifics. But
anyway,
I don't feel like it was unprofessional.
Oh, very much so. If you're in the middle of doing something with other people, we'll just keep it general, since Aisha wants to keep it general. We're having a conversation, so to speak, but a professional one with other people. And you're doing that with your partner, and your partner rolls out. Mm-hmm. I don't care if right now you're not my partner. You're not my husband. I always say that to them. You are my colleague. If you're my colleague and you roll out because you get frustrated and can't manage that frustration, you just leave and dip, and I'm just still there, just like, okay, so, where they do that at? That is unprofessional. Well, come on now, like that's not. I mean, that's not like hard to understand. But what I was saying, and then I will be quiet, is that in that situation, we were talking with other people. We're both sharing thoughts. We're both sharing. They're talking. We're talking. For sure, I am more verbose. I amplify more. All of that.
Yeah.
And I can even see how, in the context of that particular conversation, how there was a little bit of a flow going, and you were like, "Hello, like I have something to say. I need to say," right? But I don't think that was overtalk. To overtalk is like you're talking, I'm like, no. So, or while you're talking, I'm still talking, and I'm going to start. I wasn't talking while you were talking.
You were talking while I was talking.
No, so, oh my gosh. So we probably shouldn't go here. I'm just letting y'all know as y'all listen in. But I'm going to get very granular here. The only way that you can say that I was over talking you, which is still a matter of perception, is because at one point, I believe that we both started talking at the same time. That's the only thing. And we both started talking at the same time. It wasn't your go or my go. We just both had a thought and started talking at the same time. And you're saying that's what I believe you're saying is over talking, because I continued to talk and you stopped talking. That to me is not over talking. It is what can happen synergistically in a situation where two people are kind of talking with two other people, whatever. And so, I understand that I can take up space and I need to be mindful of that. But to say I'm over talking you is a bit like blaming. And it's not just being able to say what your experience was. You pulled back because that's what you tend to do. I moved ahead because that's what I tend to do. I need to be mindful to pull back, and you need to be mindful to step forward. But I'm not over talking you. I'm not trying to do nothing to you.
So here's the thing. Like, you don't need to, when it comes to this over talking piece, and y'all let me know what you think in the comments. I don't even need to be talking for you to overtalk me.
Say it again now.
I don't even need to be talking for you to overtalk me.
We need to look it up now in a dictionary.
And so there's one perspective where we could both be talking at the same time, in which we were, and then you keep on talking and I choose to stop. So somebody could say in that situation that that's over talking me, because we're talking at the same time, and if your volume is louder and you're more expressive and you keep on going, then that could be deemed as over talking. There's another situation in which I may not even say anything, but it doesn't mean that I don't have anything to say. But because you are so voluminous with your words and you amplify and you share and you bloviate, then what happens is that you dominate the airspace or the talking space.
I take up space.
Yeah, you dominate it.
And I'm not making room.
And you're not making room, which could then also be perceived as over talking me. And so again, I think that in this situation right here, both were done. And so it doesn't have to be a situation or a dynamic where we're both talking at the same time and your voice is raising, my voice is raising, your voice is raising, my voice is raising, and we keep on going up and up and up. No, the question is, are you making room? And if you're not making room, how are you not making room? And you're not making room by over talking. And who are you over talking? You over talking me.
Well, we can just agree to disagree. I think at the end of the day, I think that what's most important is what you're talking about, that you didn't feel like I was making room. I do think there's a distinction between making room for someone in dialogue and over talking someone. I think those are distinctly different things. I think culturally, the way that that's used, if a person came into our office and said, my husband is over talking me, or my husband doesn't make room for me, and everybody's different. Y'all might feel different. You obviously feel different. If I hear your husband's over talking, I'm thinking, wow, you're trying to get a word out. He's over talking you while you're talking. He's talking over you.
And
that's culturally how that's used.
What I'm thinking is, what do you mean by that? And so I'm not even assigning meaning to. Well,
that's what I come up with. I mean, y'all let me know, but that's what I think. But if you say, he just be going, he never stops. I can't get a word in. He doesn't make room for me. Then that's different. That's you continuously going. But I think fundamentally, this right here, what we're doing, we're not going to go down this road, but this is where couples like get caught up, right? Like in these little nuanced, no, you were over talking, I wasn't over talking. It don't really matter. Like there are similarities in both. And I think that, you know, your feeling that I wasn't making room for you and that, you know, your experience of that, I mean, I think it's valid, and I can see it. I can see exactly what you're talking about.
And so that right there is an example or a situation in which like we're bumping up against each other. And so again, y'all have these moments in your relationship where you'll bump up against each other, but if it goes unaddressed, then
so how would I bump up against you?
It just leads to tension. And so I feel as though you were bumping up against me based off of dominating the airspace and over talking or not making room. That's bumping up against me. And so that's the way it felt to me. Mm-hmm. But what I did, which I have not historically always done, was I lifted it up after the situation occurred. And we were able to converse about it, have an exchange, to get clarity, to share different perspectives. And as you see, we're still sharing different perspectives now. Mm-hmm. But what a lot of people don't do is that they just sit on it. So you bump against each other and then you just sit on it, which I say, you know, oftentimes leads to resentment or unresolved and unaddressed stuff. And that right there is a problem. I mean, we can even say as recently as us trying to set up for this podcast.
Well, before you skip to that,
okay.
I bumped up against you. You said we were bumping up against each other. Mm-hmm. So how did you bump up against me?
You tell me.
No, you tell me. I want to know if you actually have a sense of it, because I get the sense that you think that the way what you did, that you just think the issue is you weren't making room for me, and I told you about it, and you're proud of yourself that you told me about it, mm-hmm. as you should be. We talked about it, but you don't see anything else as out of pocket.
Yeah. So for me, I can see how me making a decision to get up and roll out was bumping up against you.
You can see how it is, or is it just that? That's what it is. No matter who, if you sitting with somebody in a conversation and in some dialogue with other people, and you leave without any explanation, without saying anything, no. This is what he did. He puts it on the text so he can show me. What did you say? You can finish this because I'm not going to compete with you. And then he leaves. So I'm literally in the middle of talking. The people are talking. We're in the middle of this conversation, and I look down at it, and I'm trying to still stay engaged, and he gets up and he rolls out. So I mean, you know, I mean, to me, I'm just going to leave it at, I find it very interesting. I find it very interesting that you're able to like identify, you know, there was no ill intention on my part. I'm not trying to come for you. I'm not trying to do anything willfully. I know that I amplify. You brought that to my attention, right? And I'm like, okay, that's something I need to pay attention to. I find it very interesting that you're able to hone in on that and being like, you know, you were over talking, you know, you even using the word over talking versus, you know, bro, like you were just kind of wrapped up and you forgot I was over there. Like, what's going on? Like, but you took it almost, and you took it as a, like, you're doing something to me. You're over talking me versus Iyanna's being Iyanna, and Iyanna has to be more conscious of the dynamic, especially when it's all of us, right? Mm-hmm. You know, and you also didn't at any point, you know, look at, you know, you say, what can I do? Talking to yourself, what can I do to step forward? You know, yes, Iyanna needs to pull back, but am I only going to step forward when she pull back? Like, I even share with you, like, you know, when I'm trying to get attention of folks, like sometimes I'm like, hey, well, wait a minute. Oh, you know, I'm more expressive, and yes, not you, and you don't have to do that, but is it all on me? No, it's not. But I'm not trying to divert responsibility. I'm just saying it's interesting to me that none of that insight has come out of this. And then you willfully, purposely do something that could be deemed as disrespectful. It definitely was unprofessional. And you want to just skirt over that and think that that's okay. It isn't. But that's all I'm going to say about it. Because somehow that piece about me talking too much, and I know some of y'all like, you talking too much right now, Iyanna. That's fine. That's how God made me. But at the end of the day, I heard what you had to say. I validated what you had to say. I see what you're talking about. And you're sitting cozy and comfy, whether we were talking about it yesterday or right now. Like, yeah, and just moving on, like thinking that the way, did you just getting up and rolling out and leaving me by myself to continue to navigate? It's okay. I mean, that's crazy to me.
Mm-hmm. Hey, what's up, y'all? So we know you're enjoying the episode, but check this out, y'all. We're not just any old random couple that's coming on YouTube every week just giving relationship suggestions and stuff like that. We're way more than that, y'all. Mm-hmm. We're trained therapists and relationship coaches. Yeah. This right here is my beautiful, incredible, sensational wife, Iana.
And this right here is my dapper, debonair husband, Ayize. So y'all, we just want you to know that there is more. We don't want you to just be a spectator. We want you to get in here with us and join our community. We have all kind of folks who are doing their personal work, their relationship work. We have sister circles and men's lounges and trainings, and we address all kinds of things from infidelity to disconnection to communication issues and sex and intimacy issues. Look, the solution is at blandcore.com. Join us. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that you're lifting this up. And again, what I said a moment ago is that the way in which I bumped up against you was in me doing that thing. I do feel as though,
what are you talking about?
In terms of getting up and rolling out. So I can understand how it's that. However, excuse me, y'all. However, regardless of whether or not I feel like I was justified and I had a legitimate reason.
You do feel that way, do you?
Yeah, I do. But even if I do feel that way, mm-hmm. It was not the most appropriate thing to do. It wasn't. I should have remained next to you, and I also should have followed up with the conversation after the fact with what my issue was. So you may have felt like I abandoned you during that particular thing, and I can understand how you would feel that way. And so I'm sorry for not responding appropriately and managing my frustrations in that moment. Do you accept?
Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Do you accept my apology?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if there's an apology. Is there an apology?
I just said I was sorry.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So again, y'all. So we bumped up against each other.
Ah, there it is.
You bumped up against me. I bumped up against you, and we were able to have a conversation after the fact. So I love the fact that we were able to process, and my wife, she actually took the high road and came back to me later and expressed an understanding of how I felt or why I felt the way that I felt. And she apologized. And so I was appreciative. And I think that her just doubling back and checking on me was, it was huge. And it was emotional maturation and I think growth. And you have not always done that, but you did it. And I'm thankful. It meant a lot to me. And so I'm saying it again. Thank you for doing that. I know you didn't quite adequately filled up and fed because of my response, but hopefully just in me apologizing and saying that I could have done things differently, that meets some sort of need for you, hopefully.
This is what you do, you guys. You just smile.
But these types of things happen, y'all. They happen, on a regular basis. And so if they go unaddressed, as I've said already, then they just get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And there's several opportunities throughout the course of the day for you to be able to say something when it happens, but you don't. And as I started to share, even as recent as sitting down to record this podcast, I'm recognizing that I'm on certain time constraints and I'm trying to execute things in an orderly and proficient way. And my wife, she expressed that she felt like I was getting a little bit snippy and I was getting kind of short with her in terms of, just wanting to get it done and feeling like she wasn't really being considerate. I didn't express this, but I was feeling like she wasn't being considerate at the time that I had outlined for us to be able to do it. And so I felt as though she was trying to move it to wherever and whenever.
When? How?
Because it was just your energy, Joe. Like, you know, I'm like, we're going to get this done. And your response was something along the lines of, you're not going to tell me that we're going to get this done. You know, we didn't have a conversation about when we're going to get this done.
This is great. I'm glad you're sharing, because we need to open this up and unpack it.
Yeah. Yes. And so again, we're bumping up against each other, but it's okay.
But let's clarify that, babe. Okay.
Go ahead.
Because you talk with such generalities. No, let's get specific. Mm-hmm. We were recording it wasn't the podcast. Obviously, we're doing that right now.
Yeah.
We were recording some other stuff. And we had limited time because we had set the time up and you had a session coming up. Mm-hmm. And we were, you know, as it can happen, right? Like we have to record sometimes multiple times, like to do it again, another take. Yeah. And we had multiple things we had to do. So I don't remember exactly, but we had 1 hour on the schedule for that particular task.
Yeah.
So we got it all done, by the way, but it was looking as though we weren't going to get it all done. So you said something like, "Oh no, we're going to get it done, or we're going to have to come back. We're going to come back to it after this. We're going to finish it. We're going to get it done, right?"
Trying to execute, y'all.
He's trying to execute, and so it's so interesting. You just said you felt like I was being inconsiderate, when in fact that's wholly what he was doing, being inconsiderate, because we have a schedule. And what I share with my husband even earlier today is I have a schedule, you have a schedule. I really try to plan out the things that I'm doing. I keep an ongoing list with things I have to do. I'm putting them in certain places. And there's no judgment about the ways that we all operate differently. I don't know if he just wakes up and's like, let's see what I'm going to do today. Saying like, hey, babe, what about at 2:00? Every now and then he might go a couple days ahead, but generally that's not how he's rolling. So it's very frustrating to me when things are getting plopped down everywhere all over the place last minute. That doesn't work well for me because I have a certain rhythm and a certain amount of things or certain things that I'm trying to get done. Mm-hmm. Long story short, we had an hour on here. It's not that I wouldn't extend the hour, maybe, but what Ayize tends to do, and I was probably being hypersensitive around it, what you tend to do is you just assume whatever you're doing is what I'm doing. Or we have this amount on the schedule, we're just going to extend it. You don't know what I have next. You don't know if I'm going to be here. Mm-hmm. I might be getting in the car to go to Starbucks to do some work. You don't know what I'm doing. And you don't even think to check. You just assume and then have the nerve and the audacity to get a little attitude, because that's when you got started to get tight. And I said, you getting tight? You said, just give me a second. I'm coming down. That's what he said. I'm coming down. First of all, his coming down, he's sitting there looking calm as a cucumber, but he coming down. And I'm thinking to myself, you coming down because you just bumped into me. And so we're going to come back in here. We're going to get it done. We're going to finish it. Like I'm all with getting it done, but it doesn't mean that my schedule gets sacrificed and overlooked and not even checked in on. You don't even see yourself. That's what I was saying. There was nothing wrong with that. So how is that being inconsiderate? I'm just setting a boundary. Like, wait a minute. And I ain't Coke. I ain't going. You ain't say, oh, I don't know what you think this is. I didn't do that. I just said.
It was real curt, though.
It was very direct, but it was not. You can tell me how you experienced me, but I know I can give energy. I wasn't giving energy. It was resistance. And let me be clear. Let me tell everybody this. Resistance is okay. It's okay, because I am resisting you dominating. You feel like I dominate with the word. You dominate sometimes with what you feel needs to happen. And you're like, you need to come over here, sit down, put your mic on, do this. You know what I mean? And you're not paying attention to the time. You're not paying attention to whatever. I got multiple things I'm trying to manage that are not on your list, that are not on your plate. So I am resisting. I'm like, wait a minute. I need to, because then that would mean if we're going to extend beyond the hour that we had scheduled, I need to go to my schedule. I need to see what's on my schedule. I need to see, can I move this up and down? Yeah. Right? That's what that means. And you're saying I'm being inconsiderate? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's pretty self-absorbed to me.
I mean, I was focused on getting it done. I was focused on executing.
Right. Not on the people who are in the process and the fact that there's an impact to the people. I'm one of the people, just like you one of the people.
Yeah, so we was bumping up against each other. I wanted things to go a particular way.
And you was being inconsiderate.
I didn't like the way that you said what you said to me. It was very direct. You had a little bit of edge to your voice. and 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 you took me up to 10, and so I had to quickly come down to.
That was 10.
That was 10.
My baby, I'm telling you, that brother is cool breeze. Let me tell you right now, you was a cool breeze because that man said, he said I was at 10, and you was like, I'm coming down. Give me a second.
Yeah.
He said that John, like you was like this. You didn't seem like you was even elevated.
My emotions. I mean, but here's the thing, y'all. So when you bump up against each other, and you don't make room, or there's no space to process, and you get really wrapped in your emotions. In that moment, I didn't share this with you, but I'm sharing it with y'all as well as with my wife. I was considering not doing any more videos.
What do you mean? Rolling out like you did at the when we was in the conversation with the people, you were just going to abandon and abort the mission again?
That's what
you was going to do?
That came up for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I ain't like it. I mean, and some of y'all may be able to resonate with this, specifically men. Sometimes when your wife or your woman is speaking to you, that tone is a turnoff. And not that I'm expecting to be turned on 24/7, but it's a turnoff in the sense that I don't even want to be next to you right now. Like, you're bothering me, and your energy is problematic. One thing that I've seen is while we as men, and me specifically, have experienced it and may have this inclination to roll out, to tap out, to abandon the process, women will experience it and still remain present. A lot of women, not all women, but a lot of women will still remain present. And so my wife, you were feeling like I was being inconsiderate.
No, I wasn't feeling like you were being considerate. You were being inconsiderate.
So
I mean, are you able to own that or not? Like, literally, you were saying, this is what we're about to do. We're going to stay in here. We're going to do it. And I'm like, wait a minute now. Like,
I was being inconsiderate.
And then you get mad at me because I'm saying, wait a minute, I have to look at my schedule. And then I even said, and we may be able to, but I don't know. Like, slow your roll. And you're saying my tone, I feel like, I don't want to say that my tone, I don't feel like my tone was curt. I just feel like I know how you do, where you will just, you'll consume my time.
I'll consume your time?
Yes, you will consume my time. You'll consume.
It seem like I'm a baby or something. You know? Like, I'll consume your time? Really?
No.
Like I'm on your nipple or something. Like, no. I mean, we're
no.
I'm doing my thing. You doing your thing. I got stuff that I need to get done. I got a list. You got things that you need to get done.
You know what I'm saying? But you're not respecting my time. Let me be. You're not respecting my time, and you're not aware of, until sometimes I share with you my list or something. Mm-hmm. You're like, oh, right. Like, you're not aware. That stuff is like on my list. There's a lot going on, and it's very stressful. Mm-hmm. And so when you're not, I don't know why I'm getting emotional, but when you're not respecting my time and just assuming.
You name the emotion.
Say it again.
You name the emotion. You said it's very stressful.
Stressful. Yeah. And it's low key disrespectful. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I never thought about it that way. But I just feel like you're I'm trying, and the feeling that I feel is I'm trying to make sure that I stay on target for what I need to get done and for what needs to happen for the day. This is how I feel. This may not be right. This is the major activity for your day. You might have this thing, whatever, not that particular example, but whatever the thing is, and maybe one other thing, because you really isolate, you focus on one thing, and that's what's in your head. And then you might have one other thing. And there's like 10 things. And I'm just trying to, like, can I please I got to get to these other things. And it feels like you're not considerate of that.
Yeah, so I was inconsiderate. I was.
But isn't that crazy how
I have way more than just one thing.
Okay.
So we both have lists, like I said. And so I'm not, a lot of it about because of our shared calendar, but there's other things that end up popping up, fires that need to be put out. Like, you just shared one with me before we started recording this, where I got to now take some stuff somewhere and just do some things. So, but stuff comes up, and there's also stuff that's constantly lingering that need to be tended to by me. And so again, we both have our list. It is inconsiderate of me to think that I could just move what I want to do and what I'm prioritizing anywhere I want it to be, regardless of what your schedule is. So I do recognize that. And so in that moment, we were bumping up against each other. I felt that you were direct but kind of curt too, and you felt like I was being inconsiderate, in which I was, but we were able to manage and move through it because we had to do what we had to do. So we put the mission above even processing. But now we're sitting here, and I guess this is us exploring just what some of those feelings were and being able to process it. But a lot of times, people, y'all, you're not doubling back and processing it, which means that, again, if you keep on clashing and bumping up against each other, then there's some erosion that's taking place, some eroding that's taking place in the relationship, and feelings are being hurt, and people are not feeling like they're being seen or understood. Right. And so what we managed to do is, throughout these many years of being together, is experience these moments and recognize that they're going to happen, but then make ways to revisit, come back together, and connect. There was another time today that, I felt some sort of way. And so these things are constantly coming up.
What was that? Just know you would feel some type of way lots of times.
Yeah. And so we're lifting this up to number one, normalize the fact that you're going to feel some type of way in your relationship. And sometimes your partner don't even be knowing. But I asked you the question once I got out the shower. I said, what? And you came to the space where we were supposed to be recording. I said, what took you so long? And again, I'm trying to execute and move based off of a particular time. And you was like, because I had to get something to eat. I was eating.
And y'all, what I didn't say is, and I was cleaning your dishes in the sink, that you was inconsiderate, leaving in the sink when we just connected yesterday. And I said, we on the same page, like, let's clean these dishes as we go. Don't put them in the sink. Let's not stack dishes up in the sink. He was like, yeah. But he left them in there anyway. And I didn't say a word to him about his dishes that I cleaned. But see how we can be all in our heads and we're not sharing these things. Yeah. But that's also why we have to give each other grace.
Yeah. You give me grace?
Yeah, I gave you grace because, the other Iana, I have two Ianas. The other Iana would be like, Ayize, why you leave these dishes in the sink?
Yes, Lord.
But this Iana was like, let me just go ahead and handle this. Take care of this. It don't matter.
I'm appreciative of you giving me grace.
And that's what took me long. That's why it took longer for real. But I didn't want to say I was cleaning your dishes.
Nah, but real talk, I would have said, forgive me. I can clean my own dishes. And so
I know you can, but I mean,
I would have been like, don't worry about that. Like,
no, I said because they ain't supposed to be sitting in the sink.
But right now we supposed to be recording. So I'm like, you prioritize this over that. And I'll get to that when I get to it. But yeah, it's a process, y'all. So again, when you're in relationship with your boo, with your bae, just recognize that there's going to be friction, there's going to be tension, but how do you go about dealing with it? Do you let it simmer? Do you let it fester? Or do you allow yourself time to process, get in touch with your feelings, and then you start to have conversations around what's actually going on? The latter is the most appropriate choice to make, y'all. Don't let that thing simmer, fester.
Yeah.
But process what you're feeling. Get clear about what it is that you're feeling, and then move towards having a conversation, as you've seen that we've had during the course of this podcast. Again, sometimes it's going to be uncomfortable, and it may not be silky smooth, and there may be some wrinkles that you got to iron out during the course of it. But as long as you press forward, and as long as you're sensitive and you're making room and you're aiming for understanding over agreement, then it makes the conversation a lot more smoother. And on top of that too, it makes the connection way more better because after this, are you in a good space?
Yeah.
I'm in a good space too.
That's what you wanted to say?
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to say this too. This is important, right? So we're talking about just the ways you bump up into each other in your relationship, in your day-to-day, and we're normalizing that. But the other piece that we didn't talk about really today, and we're not going to go into too much detail now because we're about to be done, but It's really important. And that is, you have to make positive deposits in your relationship. You have to have positive energy flowing. That has to be the regular. So even though we've described these things like that have been happening today, yesterday, they're going to happen tomorrow. You know what I mean? That's just what it is. There are regular places of connection that my husband and I have. I was feeling flustered and just off this morning, and my husband was like, talk to me. What's going on? That meant a lot to me, and I appreciate that. I really do. And he made space for me. He made space for me. And so those kinds of things happen on a regular basis too. And just making sure that we always make room for one another. We had a little date night the other night, and we had to push through a little bit for that date night because we went to a new place. It was supposed to be cocktail attire and getting a little jazzy. Don't y'all hate when they say that on the website and you go, you be like,
everybody don't hate. Oh, you talking about everybody?
These spammers ain't abiding by the dress code. I remember in my closet trying to figure out what I'm putting on, and people ain't even paying attention to it.
Yeah,
they did kind of, but not for real. But anyway, just having that space the other night, going out and going to a new little spot and spending time.
That's the padding.
It's the anchor.
Yeah,
it's the stability. It's what I know will come, this weekend and will continue to come. That those moments are constantly happening.
Yeah,
they're happening a lot. So for those of you who identify with what we're talking about, or even some of our dynamics that you've seen, and you're like, well, dang, I really like how people will make these comments, how y'all were able to go through that, but then kind of circle back to being like, even and cool with each other. It's because of those things. So like, that's really important. Maybe that's what our next episode needs to be on. And that is like, what are the things that you can do, that you need to do? What are the things that we do that we know that are really good to do to be intentionally connected? Like, you have to actually date each other on a regular basis. You have to actually spend time. You have to be emotionally intelligent and look at your partner and check in on them. You have to get your circle back game on, like I did when he told me I was over talking him, and I came back that same day and said, I apologize, right? Even though, if y'all didn't pick it up, I did not agree. But I still apologize. I still came and made room for him, because that's what you need to do. You need to be able to, distinguish between understanding and agreement when you're trying to resolve something. So those connecting things are really important, and they are in fact the most important.
Yeah. So it's those are the you got to make frequent, as my wife said, frequent deposits into the emotional bank account,
right?
So that you won't go negative.
That's right.
In your relationship. And in addition to that, the more you do it, it creates a buffer and padding in your relationship too. Y'all going to bump up against each other, but when you got that padding based off of those emotional deposits, when you bump up against each other, you won't get bruised.
Yeah.
And so it's do it more often. Do it more frequently, do it more deliberately and intentionally, and connect, y'all. Connect. And so hopefully you got some value from this episode.
I did.
Yeah, I did too. Started off in one place, and we was already vibing, but I feel even more connected now.
Me too.
You do?
Yes.
Let me massage your shoulders.
Yes. Oh my God. We got to talk about that on another episode. Lord. We need to talk about that.
You know?
Because I'm telling you do it like that again, you're going to get the same return. Lord have mercy. That thing was good.
Yeah. Please please subscribe, and please share. Watch the other episodes too, y'all. It's a lot of game that's being shared, a lot of insights, a lot of emotional pouring and emotional depositing as well, and emotional receiving. And so it's an exchange taking place between my wife and I, and we want to share that with you all. So again, watch the episodes, check us out, and we'll connect with you next time on the Relationship Cheat Code. Peace out.